And David walks in, he tries to give her food, and he notices her gaze as well, and he follows it. Baby, it's an ear. Baby, it's an ear. Not a deer ear. Not venison ear. It's a human ear. So I'm just like, wait. They're freaking cannibals. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel, King Nikki TV, where I give you commentary on popular movies and TV shows. In this video, I will be recapping one of my favorite episodes so far of the HBO Max series, The Last of Us. I thought Endure and Survive was my #1 favorite episode. I don't know, it's finna rival this last one because I really freaking love this episode. Now, we get to see Ellie pretty much on her own. She's taking care of Joel, and it was actually so sweet and endearing. She's like putting water on his mouth with her hand. She's really caring for him. Remember, Joel got pretty much kind of mortally wounded in his fight, and she's out. She's trying to hunt this deer, and she comes across David and another guy out in the forest. And I love the way this episode was paced. I love the way everything played out. I love how there were so many subtleties that just gradually built and built and built, and it was just such, oh my God, perfect pacing. Now, when we are first introduced to David, he's preaching. He has this little town, this little community that he seemingly is the leader of, and he does in fact tell Ellie that he is the leader, not by choice. He was pretty much chosen to lead this group. That's what he tells Ellie. And his group comes across this deer. They obviously know someone shot it, but they're trying to take it away before whoever shot it gets close. But Ellie gets the drop on them, and she pretty much is kind of like, I'm gonna put one between your eyes, like, go ahead now to get on while you can. David is pretty much like, look, let me get 10 seconds. I know it is really hard to trust people these days. I promise I'm not a bad guy. We have a group that's starving, and of course Ellie, trying to be smart, doesn't want them to just think she's alone. She's like, I got a group too. We starving as well. And he's pretty much like, well, you can't carry this whole deer by yourself, so we're not asking for anything for free. We have stuff we can trade. We could give you boots. And of course Ellie is interested in medicine because Joel is sick. He was stabbed. She did sew up his wound, but she needs medicine for infection, medicine to help him heal. So she agrees to give them half of the deer if they bring her back the medicine. And David pretty much tells his right hand guy, go get the medicine, the penicillin, the syringe, bring it back. This isn't code for anything. I really want you to get the medicine and bring it back. So David first presents as pretty, trying to be kind of a nice guy. He doesn't come across very threatening. He actually comes across pretty genuine. And I was so mad because I'm like, even me being like hyper paranoid, like if I was in this situation, I'm like, child, I probably would have fell for it. David is good, and I will give him that. He ends up taking shelter with Ellie, waiting for his comrade to come back. He tells her they're a little bit a ways. It'll take him a minute. Of course, it's freezing, it's snowing. So they build a fire. They take shelter, and they're having this conversation, and I mother freaking love Ellie and her attitude. He's telling her how he's a preacher and different stuff, and she's kind of like coming back with her Ellie quips, and she's like, so you went from teacher to preacher because what, it effing rhymes? And as they're having this conversation, he pretty much starts to tell her that he found God at the apocalypse and stuff like that. And I'm already super paranoid. I'm definitely paranoid of the Christian folk, like the people that be being like, not even Christian, but just religious. I like in this scenario, I'm just like, I don't know, bruh, some. But honestly, he was coming across pretty genuine and non-threatening. So even if you start off kind of side-eyeing him just because of the circumstances, just like Ellie, like we're not going to just randomly trust someone, he will get you to let your guard down. He is very manipulative, cunning, charming. He knows how to kind of play the role. So he's having this conversation with her, right? And he starts to tell her, if you guys hear strange noises, my dogs are playing, and there's nothing I can do to control that. So forgive the background noise. Now, he pretty much is having a conversation with Ellie, and he is telling her that everything happens for a reason. And of course, she's kind of just giving him this look like, yeah, whatever. And he's like, I'll prove it to you. And at this point, it is kind of feeling like, okay, Ellie is on guard. She pretty much had control of the situation when she gets David and the other guy together. And you're feeling like, okay, she's not pretty much in danger. Now, you do wonder if old boy is finna get the medicine or if he's finna come back with a group. But it doesn't feel very tension-filled at the moment. So he starts to say, I'll prove to you that everything happens for a reason. We didn't know this winter would be so harsh. I sent out a group to go scavenge nearby. One of them was killed by a crazed man who was with a young girl. And of course, it clicks for Ellie when they were at the campus looking for the fireflies, and Joel ended up killing one of the raiders. That this is the group they were with. And just as he says that, that's what I'm like, oh shoot, like immediately you're back on guard, and it's tense. And then David is like, put the gun down, and his friend ended up being back and is standing behind Ellie with the gun. But of course she jumps up, she has the gun pointed to him. But David ends up kind of diffusing whatever tension and danger you think is happening. He's like, give her the medicine. Go ahead and go. But he is trying to convince her, you can't be out here alone. You can't survive. He kind of wants her to come with them. She takes the medicine and she runs off. And you're kind of watching like, wait a minute. And his friend is like, are we really finna just let her go? So they get back to their group, and David walks in, and everyone has like this look on their face, and he looks over at the guy that was with him like, you ran your mouth, didn't you? So he ends up being like, look, if you heard a rumor, yes, we did find the little girl that was with the guy that killed, one of their group, which is a young lady's dad. And he's like, look, in the morning, we'll follow her trail. It won't be hard to follow in the snow. We'll get the guy. We'll bring him to justice. And that's when the young lady who was crying at the top of the episode, whose father was the one that was killed, she pretty much just bursts out with, kill him and kill the girl. Like, both of them need to die. And David just calmly walks over to her, pulls his gloves off so he can give her the backhand pimp slap. And up until now, he was coming across like, wait a minute, he coming across like he might be, decent. Kind of in the realm, even when he slaps old girl, that's when it's like you're seeing a little hint of danger in him, but still I wasn't fully on board with Ellie's in real danger, because it could be like Tess and Joel, like they did bad stuff to keep their group and to survive. So even at this point, I'm not fully like, okay, like something's wrong with him. I'm just kind of like, you know what? Okay, like he don't smack the little girl in her mouth, but he ruled her with the iron fist, I guess. But still, it's still very subtly building the exact danger that Elle is in. So the next day, of course, they go out looking for Joel to track where Ellie went. And Ellie is outside. She's trying to give the horse some water by putting snow in a little bucket. And she ends up seeing like birds, a whole flock. And anytime like a flock of birds just suddenly fly up from trees or something, it's something that gets them to scatter off. And she goes to check, and that's when she sees the group. And she runs back into the house. She goes in the basement. Joel is kind of like barely conscious or in and out of consciousness. And she gives him a knife, and she's like, motherfucking wake up. Do not go back to sleep. Men are coming. I'm going to try and draw them away. But if any of them get down here, you motherfucking handle that ish. She's like, Joel. And it's so like, I'm just like, Joel can't do ish. And remember, I was kind of counting Joel out, because I was like, Joel, he need to just sail off into the sunset. He need to go to retirement. I don't know what baby gonna do. Now, she ends up getting on her horse. She's like, motherfuckers. And she shoots at him. She's trying to, lead them away. But y'all, resistance is futile, because baby ain't making very far. They got Elle easy. And I was like, God dang. But I was mad, because why the hell y'all had to kill that horse? But I forgot. They are hungry. But I did like on Inside the Episode, they showed us it was not a real horse. No horses were harmed. But anyway, so she gets knocked off of her horse because as she's riding pretty fast, the right-hand man to David shoots the horse, and of course Ellie goes flying and she's kind of losing consciousness, and one of the group is telling him, because David's instructions were do not kill the girl, but one of the group that's over there with the guy that shot him is like, just kill her, and he's literally about to, but David comes up behind them and he picks Ellie up to take her back, and he's like, if y'all want vengeance, go ahead and get it, go look for the man who killed our comrade. And at this point you are wondering, is David actually being like merciful or being a good guy? Is he sparing Ellie, because she's a child, and typically you would, show more mercy to a kid? Like, what is his motivation for not killing Ellie? And not only isn't he not killing her, because his right-hand man says, okay, fine, we don't have to kill her, let her go, but she don't need to come back with us. So not only is David not killing her and sparing her life, he is adamant about her coming back to their group. And at this point, it's just kind of like is it because she's a child, and he genuinely is meaning when he says you can't survive out here alone, etc., etc. So they go looking for Joel, and Ellie put some kind of like china cabinet in front of the door to the basement. But of course, one of the guys can clearly see that it's covering something, and he starts to head in the basement. And I'm literally wondering, what is Joel finna do? Because he's laying down there like he's freaking half dead. So he ends up getting the drop on the guy with the knife. He kills him. And then he is able to get the drop on the other group. And they have literally one of the best scenes ever, where I was like, you know what, Joel, please forgive me for all the mess I was talking about you being old and down for the count, because baby, Joel came out like the badass that he is. I mean, this scene was like, I was scared of Joel. I'm just like, okay, bro, that's the interrogation tactics that we own. He ties both guys up, and as the second guy is regaining consciousness, Joel is actively beating the first guy, and he pretty much is beating him, and he takes a knife and stabs it into his knee. And baby, when I tell you my knee felt that itch, my knee felt that itch. And Joel is pretty much like wanting to know about Ellie. The guy's like, the girl is alive, she's out of town. Joel is like, what town? Like, don't just be telling me she's out of town. Woo, y'all, the acting. So he tells the guy, he has the knife in his knee. He's like, I'm gonna pop your motherfucking kneecap. And he puts the knife in his mouth, and he pulls out the map, and he tells him, because the guy tells him they're at this resort, and he says, you better point to the exact spot on this map where y'all are at so that I can go get the girl, and your friend better point to the same spot. So the guy points to it, and he's like, look, you can ask him, like, I ain't lying. And y'all, it's something about, they kept being like, Jesus. It's something about the way they were saying Jesus that was so funny to me. It was like it's the way they were, Jesus, like the way they were saying it was freaking killing me. Now, Joel, after the guy points to the spot, and he's like, I'm not lying. That is, I'm telling you the truth. Joel takes the knife and he kills him. And the guy's like, Jesus, like, why did you do that? He told you what you wanted. And Joel starts to walk over to the second guy. Of course, if the other guy done died, Joel ain't keep his word because y'all told the truth or whatever, because the threat was y'all better both say the same thing. So the second guy is pretty much like, he don't even know, like, he just sitting there, he's like, I ain't gonna tell you nothing. But baby, the way Joel was just like, that's all right, I believe him. Y'all, this scene was so brutal and so badass, and I was just like, Joel, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Joel. Please forgive me for counting you out, feeling like you was down and out, because baby, okay, you would never see me second guess Joel ever again. So Ellie ends up waking up, and she's locked in this cage, and I'm literally wondering, like, how in the world can Elle possibly get out of this? How can you get out of a locked cage, for one? For two, I'm thinking about that whole dining hall that was full of people. I'm like, how in the world can she get out of this? And of course now Joel done took out the people that was looking for him, and he got a weapon, the rifle they had. But I'm still like, this is a town of people, but it is a resort. So, it's no telling where in the resort everybody is. And that added to the tension of this scene with David and Ellie for me is the fact that I had no clue where that whole dining hall of people were. So there are certain things that are building in the episode. For one, the group, when they get fed, one lady is like, well, the guy brings meat for a stew, and she's like, what is this? And he's kind of like, venison. And you kind of watching the episode like, it didn't put up a lot of like the little red flags, but it was like, why he stuttered and took so long? But I'm thinking, oh, that must be rat, or it must be squirrel. Like, I'm thinking it must be something, that most people, animal that most people would not want to eat if they eat animals. So that we have that, little thread in the episode as well. But also, like I said earlier, what is David's motive for being adamant that Elle comes back to their little group? Now, Elle wakes up in a little cage, and David is trying to talk to her. He's trying to get her name, and Ellie is being motherfucking Ellie, and I love it. She's like, F you, eat shit. Like, she is, all he wants is her name. Baby ain't even giving the name. You hear me? So I freaking love Ellie. I can't say it enough. Now, David is like, look, they want to kill you. Did you hear what I just said? I said they want to kill you, girl, and I'm the only thing stopping them. And he's pretty much like, just give me your name. I can take care of you. You're out here alone. You won't survive. And Ellie's like, I'm not alone. And he's like, oh, yeah, your friend. Well, we done sent folk to get him. Now, he pretty much is telling Ellie he's going through this whole little pitch, right? And I'm telling you, even up until the pitch, I'm still not thinking Ellie is in like real like danger. I'm like, with the group she's with, we know they're religious, so you would think that means they have some type of moral code. Yes, David smacked old girl, pimp smacked old girl for saying killing Ellie and stuff, but still it is not very overt, right? So as he's talking to Ellie and he's trying to give her this pitch about, I see something in you, you're smart, you're a leader, you have a violent heart, and I can tell because I have a violent heart as well. And even when he gives this speech where he like admires cordyceps, it still ain't, I'm like, okay, that's a little odd, but still, y'all, was it just me? Was I not smart enough to pick up on it? I still wasn't thinking we was going to the levels we was going. But the moment that David says, I'm a shepherd amongst sheep, and the only thing I want is an equal, a friend, that's when it kind of clicks for me. And I'm like, oh shit. Oh my God. Ellie, girl. When people use the terms looking for an equal, that is typically a term you use when it comes to romantic relationships. So the second he said looking for an equal, I'm just like, oh my God. And he has his hands on like oh shit, I forgot to mention. Another little subtlety that I got off track with the meat and how this group is eating. Before he comes in, when Elle is in the little cage, she's trying to get out. She's trying to figure out a way out. She climbs up to a window. She's trying to check the little stuff on the little bars and stuff. And that's when suddenly she sees something, but the audience doesn't see, and it freaks her out, and she kind of backs up. And I'm like, what the heck? What is she looking at? And David walks in. He tries to give her food, and he notices her gaze as well, and he follows it. Baby, it's an ear. Baby, it's an ear. Not a deer ear. Not venison ear. It's a human ear. So I'm just like, wait, they're freaking cannibals. But that ain't even the pinnacle of how sick this ish is. They're eating people, they're cannibals, and they don't even know it. Only a select few, which I'm going to presume is David, his right-hand man, and the cooks, even know that they are eating human meat. And I'm just like, that's so sick. That's so sick. Like, that's so disgusting. Like, you're freaking eating human flesh and you don't even know it. And he's pretty much trying to tell Elle, you want to judge me? These people look to me to keep them safe, to protect them. What was I supposed to do? Just let them starve? I don't like having to do this. And he starts giving the pitch about how him and Elle, they would look to both of them and they could lead the group. And I'm just like, oh, he is looking at Elle. I'm just like, damn it. And it is so, I'm just like, how the freak is Elle going to get out of this? Like, and he puts his hand on the bar where she's locked in at, and she's walking closer to him because he's trying to tell her, when she's like, what about my friend? He's like, I'll tell them to let him go. And she's like, they're going to just do that. They're going to just let him go. And David is pretty much like, do whatever I say. And Ellie puts her hand on his hand as well. And I'm just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Of course, we know Elle is trying to do something, but I'm just like, this man, oh. So Ellie puts her hand on his like she's, going with whatever is going with the flow, and she breaks his mother freaking finger. And that's when he gets upset. He's like, what do you think I'm going to tell the group now? And before he walks out, she's like, Ellie. Because remember, he wanted to know her name and she wouldn't tell him. And y'all, baby got blood on her mouth. She got her face kind of like to the bars of the cage. And she's like telling me it was Ellie. That's the little girl who broke your motherfucking finger. Y'all, I was in there flipping out. I had to rewind it. I think I rewinded that about 3 times. I just wanted to hear her keep saying, tell him Ellie is the little girl that broke your motherfucking finger. Y'all, I was like, but then they didn't even, as great as it got, because then David is like, what was that you said about chopping you into little tiny pieces? Y'all, I'm just like, Ellie, baby. This ish was so crazy. David is my number 1 favorite antagonist so far on the show. Like, he, god dang, so good, so freaking good. That actor was brilliant. The way he played David, freaking brilliant. And at this point, David and the right-hand man comes in again, David comes in again, but now his right-hand man is with him. And Ellie is screaming. They come in there, they grab her, she bites David. He freaking knees her in the stomach or something like that. And they're throwing her down. They're about to chop her up, and she's pleading with them. And David is like, you had your chance. And they're just about to kill her when she yells, I'm infected. And of course, that's going to make you like, and she looks at him and she's like, now so are you, because she bit him. And she's like, pull up my sleeve, look at the bite yourself. And she gets them off guard enough because there's a confusion happening now, because the guy's like, David. And David is like, no, this can't be real. She would have turned by now. But the guy's like, it looked pretty motherfucking real to me. And old boy David had slammed what is that type of knife called? Oh shoot, I'm blanking. What is that knife called? Hatchet? Whatever. It's a giant knife that he slammed next to Ellie's head. And in their confusion, she pulls it up and she slams it into the right-hand man's freaking neck. And she jumps off the table and she runs out as David is shooting after her. And while this is happening, at the same time, we see that Joel has made it to the resort. He's creeping around. He's trying to find Ellie. He follows a blood trail, which we know is the blood trail of the horse. And it leads him to this little room, cabin thing, building. And he goes in. He sees Ellie's backpack. And that subtlety that was building about them eating people, which we have got confirmed by David, but now we get the visual. We end up seeing, I think it was 3 people hung up in there like freaking cattle. And it clicks for Joel that they are eating people. He knows Ellie's backpack is here. He knows Ellie is here. He's looking for Ellie. Ellie is out in the dining hall trying to run from David. She can't get out. The doors are locked. She picks up like a fire log that was in this little thing. She's ducked down hiding. David is coming after her. And in this moment, it's so intense, but you're thinking as Joel is simultaneously looking for her, you're thinking that Joel is going to come to the rescue. Joel is going to kill David. Joel is going to save Elle just in time. But I love and prefer the way they did this. So Elle is in here. She's ducked down. She's trying to survive. It's really no way for this little girl to beat this freaking crazed person. So you're really thinking Joel is going to come save her. And as David is coming in, Elle jumps up. She tries to throw the fire log at him. He ducks down, but it hits this drapery, these curtains that starts to catch fire. And oh God, y'all, I think I saw this episode like 4 times so far. So freaking good. Love this scene. And Ellie she has a knife. She's ducked down. She's trying to creep through. And y'all, when I tell you the freaking crazed maniac that David is, as it was subtle. At this point, it is just full on display. And I love how he's in there, Ellie. Like, it's like, so he's trying to tell her, like, I could have done so much for you. I would have been great for you. And I'm just saying, like, excuse me, sir? Like, he is insane. And he starts to tell her, you know what? I changed my mind. You do need a dad. And I'm going to teach you. And I'm just sitting here like, this man is crazy. And give Bella Ramsey all the mother freaking awards. She looked terrified. She was shaking, but she was also at the same time being so strong and resilient and just displaying so many emotions. And she finally comes out and lunges at David. And I never understand when I be seeing movies and TV, when you're sneaking up behind somebody, why do you you're giving away the element of surprise that you're finna attack them, child. But anyway, she's able to stab him, but of course he knocks her down. She hits her face. She falls hard on the ground, and he proceeds to freaking try to assault her sexually while the building is on fire. Talk about being psychotic. So it's like the way you felt like he wasn't very threatening. He was you saw a little hint of a little darkness, but it subtly builds and then it combusts, and it's clear to you that he's a edophile with the P. And he's freaking, not only, like, he's just freaking sick, like trying to assault her with the freaking building burning. And it was this like scream or noise that Bella Ramsey was doing, like, that noise was it was just so freaking good. Like, she was terrified, and I felt what she felt. And he's so freaking psychotic. He's like, she like spit in his face. She's fighting. He's on top of her. He's like, I thought you knew. It's the fight that I love. And I'm just like, you want something? Drop my phone. You want something really freaking horrific. You want him to get his comeuppance. And when he's on top, when she falls down, she sees his cleaver. That's the word I couldn't think of earlier when I was saying hatchet and stuff. She sees his cleaver slid on the ground and it's near her, and she tries to get it, and he's on top of her, and she's as he's on top of her, and he holds both of her hands, but of course he lets one hand go because he's holding one hand with he only got 2 hands. He's using the other hand to, unbuckle his pants and stuff like that. And she uses her one free hand to reach over for the cleaver, and she gets him, and she jumps on top of him. And I personally love the decision they made when it came to how they shot Ellie killing David. It wasn't a gore fest, but I feel like that wasn't the point. The point in this, the point that they focus on, we don't really see David being killed, but we see Elle. And I feel like that's the point. There is something that happens with Elle in this moment. And I remember watching it feeling like, okay, this is that pivotal moment for a character where everything shifts around this. Like, she is changed after this. She's a completely different Elle after this. Everything happens around this moment. There's something that clicks in her. There's something that breaks in her. And then once the episode ended and I was watching the Inside episode, they go in to say that exact thing. Like, something snaps in Elle. Something breaks in her. So that's why I, as the freaking gore fiend that I am, can appreciate this scene, not going for the gore and actually showing us David being killed, because I feel like the point, we have been on this emotional ride with Elle. She has been terrorized, held captive, attacked, in a freaking hopeless, seemingly hopeless situation that she has had to use her wits, her smarts, her strength to fight her way out of and to survive. Joel never comes to the rescue. Elle rescued herself, and they said on the Inside episode, only Elle can save Elle. And I feel like it was so pivotal for David's murder to show us the POV of us seeing Elle in that moment, and the ferocity, the terror when she's beaten down with that freaking cleaver. Y'all, please, y'all, just literally just take the award and just freaking chuck them at Bella Ramsey. Just throw them all at her. This was so good. And we end up seeing her coming out of the building. Smoke is coming out and she's covered in blood. Excuse me. She's kind of like walking like a zombie to me. And Joel comes up behind her. And of course she doesn't know what's behind her. She starts screaming, and Joel is like, it's me. And he grabs her, and she can't even really talk. She's like, he, and she can't even really talk. And it makes me think back to when they were outside, when they had Frank and Bill's car, and he was looking out for people, and Elle is like, what are they going to do? Take our stuff? And Joel is like, much worse. And she's like, oh. And I'm like, the sheltered life she's lived in the QZ, I'm like, now she's been faced with the reality and the nastiness of humanity, and of there being much more of a danger than just the infected. And I remember as I was watching, and I'm saying I remember like I ain't just see it, but I can remember an hour ago when I just saw it. But as I was watching, when Joel goes to hug Ellie, y'all, this broke me, because he's like, it's okay, baby girl, I got you. And the second he said that, I was like, wait, did he call his daughter baby girl? And they said on Inside the episode that Joel says baby girl after having not said that for 20 years, because that is what Joel called his daughter. Oh, it just got me right in the heart. This episode was so well done, brilliant, amazing. We only have one episode freaking left, and I just hope they go all out. I hope it's okay, I ain't even gonna hope it's nothing. I'm just gonna go in. I'm just gonna go in, and I'm just gonna watch it. But yeah, this was one of my favorite episodes. I don't know which one I like more, Endure or Survive. Endure and Survive. Was it and Survive or Survive? I don't know which one I like best. Endure, Survive, or this episode, but they are definitely my two favorite episodes. And I love how this episode, because last episode, yeah, Joe was down for the count, but we pretty much we backtracked to tell Elle's story. And I love how this episode, it switches from Joel being like the caregiver and the hero and the person saving Elle and protecting Elle and looking out for Elle, to this episode it switches and Elle is the caregiver and she's taking care of Joel and she rescues and protects and saves herself. Oh, y'all, all the feels. This episode got me. Let me know in the comments, what did you think about this episode? What did you think about my view on the episode? Thank you so much for watching this video, for supporting the channel. Make sure you share this video. Thank you. I'll see you in the next one.